for the appearance of your image, but for that soul reflection you want in the mirror. My journey has taken me from the dark cell to selling my books for others that live in hell. You see, when you live in your past, that's depression. Anxieties are worrying about all your future obsessions. So stay in the here and now. It will elevate your vibrations to move your mind, body, and spirit in the right direction. Yeah, come and experience that bath of healing sound to start cleaning that pain that you've been feeling. Find that frequency of your tonal center. Let me tune your keys so you can hear a little clearer. You gotta practice journaling your story to relieve your worry. So standing on that business of your freedom glory.
Soul spirit healers, soul spirit healers, soul spirit healers. Our love is one. Soul spirit healers, soul spirit healers, soul spirit healers. Our love is one.
I am different, I am free, I am all that I'm meant to be. I am fun, I am divine, I am living this life that's mine. I am treasured, I am strong, I am agency where I belong. I am fearless, I am brave, I am the one who my soul can save. I am grounded, I am whole, I am the keeper of my own soul. I am beautiful, I am kind, I am grateful with a clear mind. I am creative, I am great, I am focused, never late. I am resilient, I am calm, I am peaceful, life's a song. I am intelligent, I am wise, I am unstoppable, watch me rise. I am fly as hell, I am dope, I am supported, filled with hope. I am wealthy, I am patient, I am balanced in alignment. I am assertive, I am sure, I am protected, I endure. I am amazing, I am strong, I am joyful where I belong. I am unique, I am love, I am guided from above. I am unstoppable, I am me, I am enough, abundantly free.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hey, Carl, we're back. Day
Dr.
4.
Huffman, we are back, and it's good to be back with you, the OG, new school, and leader of both at Compton College. It's such a pleasure to be on here with you on this great day with this great event. We've been having a great week. What are your thoughts on the week and how it's going?
This week has been phenomenal, but I'm really excited about today because we're going to be talking about what, Carl?
We are going to be talking about basic needs support and how it's an institutional infrastructure and not an intervention. We got to have it in there, not in response to everything, but as a key component to see our students succeed. And we have some great folks speaking on it today. So let's dive right in, because one thing we've been doing, Black Student Success Week, is being on time. Give it up for being on time. All these rooms we got at every campus, these rooms are full of such a dynamic environment and community, from our faculty and staff to our students. And we're modeling what on time looks like, the new CPT. That said, Advocacy Day is today, and we're having legislative meetings throughout the state and at the Capitol. Among our priorities are the Hispanic Serving Institution and our ANAPESI program, serving our Asian American, Pacific Islander, Pacifica students, and designations for those groups, following after the lead of our Black Student and Black Serving Institution designation, led by our founder and leader of the Black Student Success Week, Compton's very own Dr. Keith Curry, my friend and mentor. Additionally, they're going to be focusing on CCAP and dual enrollment access and Cal Grant B Access Award modernization, BSI funding, because it's great to have an initiative, but we need the money, and a $100 million block grant. The whole policy agenda is available on blkstudentsuccess.com and in the chat. Additionally, I want to we have it right there on the screen. I want to thank our sponsors get the sponsor slide. All of these folks are the folks who help make this event possible, from access to tech help, the great tech help we're getting from Carmel and Rena, to the gear that we've got for this. Revolution will not be televised, but it will be Zoomed. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. Yeah, we got a great theme for today. We got some great campus engagement, campus events coming up. Make sure you mark your calendar for tomorrow. At Long Beach City College, we are very excited about our sneaker ball. We got sneaker balls going on up and down the state. Get your magic eraser out and clean your old sneakers up, or like if you're like me, go get you some new ones because your old ones are too beat up to bring out for the floor show. You know how we do as a people. We like to, show out, show up and show out. So get your best fits on, get your best fits on your feet, and come out to your sneaker balls and support it. If you don't have one at your school, Compton, you're always welcome to come out to Long Beach City College. We have something here for you, and everybody in the surrounding area. If you don't have a sneaker ball, go to your local area sneaker ball, and let's make it a unifying event, not just at individual campuses, but let's all come together and celebrate and wrap up what's been a fantastic week for Black Student Success Week. With that, I'll pass it back to you, Dr. Huffman, to lead us through our
Yes,
poll.
thank you. Yeah, so jumping into the first poll of the day, the question is, which basic need most significantly impacts student success at your institution? So we want you to engage. Let us know right now your answer to that question. And we also have some other highlights, right, Carl? We're talking about Antelope Valley College. They're going to have crump dancing events going on. There's also an Apollo Night talent show. That sounds interesting. Laney College, you're going Lady College, you're going to have Hustle and Heart in the kitchen conversation. You're also going to have some food, it sounds like. The conversation with Turiano Gordon, okay, founder and owner of Vegan Mod Barbecue and Soul Food. That sounds good, right? And then we were already talking about the sneaker ball. So I hope you all are ready for that. And we're going to move on. We're making good time, Carl. So shout out to the time.
How we do it.
All right, so I'm so excited, and I feel as it's an honor and a privilege to introduce our first speaker for today. So our first speaker for today is the very own Dr. Tamil Gilkerson, the Chancellor of Peralta Community College District. If you don't know who she is, I'm going to tell you something. She is a dedicated leader in higher education, committed to social justice, equity, and inclusion. With over 2 decades of experience in community colleges, she has worked to create learning environments that meet diverse students' needs and promote academic success. She has led statewide and national initiatives focused on basic needs, undocumented students, and distance education. She also serves on several national and statewide boards and commissions dedicated to researching and addressing systemic barriers within higher education that hinder racial equity and the development of future community college leaders. I am so excited to have you here, Dr. Gilkerson. You are amazing, and we love you.
Love you, Dr. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here today with everyone, and just grateful to be in this space with all of you. And really talking about something that I'm so deeply committed to, and I know many of you are in this space and this work. So just really want to, first of all, shout out how grateful I am to be in this role and serving in a district that is so committed to student success and is committed to being Black serving institutions in all 4 of our colleges. So shout out to our Peralta Community College District community, Berkeley City College, College of Alameda, Laney College, and Merritt College. And just really, we are deeply committed to the work of ensuring our institutions actually work for students, and so grateful to everyone who's in this community providing that support. So I want to start today with something simple, right? And really, this is around the student experience. And, this morning, a student is deciding, do I pay rent or do I eat? And, this afternoon, another student is sitting in class without knowing where they're going to sleep tonight. And really, for me, this really is not the exception. This is the reality for millions of students. And I think this really sort of contextualizes a lot of why we're so passionate about the work that we're doing. And what we often call these as barriers, but they're not barriers. These are conditions. And so we really need to reframe our minds around this and really begin to think about it in this context. And so I start with the context around California's reality. And these conditions don't start when students arrive on our campuses. Across California, 1 in 5 Californians live in poverty. 1 in 3 is poor or near poor. And many, frankly, are working and still cannot meet their basic needs, right? So this is happening, frankly, in the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest states in the country. And housing costs are one of the primary drivers of poverty. So when we talk about basic needs, we're not talking about isolated student issues, right? We're talking about systemic conditions that are really drivers of sort of what's happening in our state and the areas in which we live and work in. And so, and you know that inequality is highly correlated with disparities that we find throughout, right? Housing access, local job opportunities, discrimination in the labor market, incarceration, and other systemic conditions. And so I just feel like this is a really important point for us as we think about these. These are not disconnected issues. And so context really matters, right? And so again, when we talk about these conditions, they're not evenly distributed, and Black Californians experience higher rates of poverty, have the lowest household incomes, and face greater housing instability. And you can see this here from the data. And frankly, for every dollar white families earn, Black families earn about 63 cents to the dollar. So these, frankly, are not new disparities. They are sustained. These are things that continue to happen in our country and in the state. And so when we look at college access in California too, I think it's important really to contextualize how incredibly important California's community colleges are and really where students are choosing to go to school. And you can see college access rates for Black Californians is about 65%. Do you see that there? Right there when they make up about 5% of the population. But what you see here is that, again, the majority, 36%, are beginning and having their education here in the California community colleges. And so what a great honor and privilege for us, but also what an incredible responsibility that we all have in this work. And so, right, and we see these impacts of those conditions. So the conditions I laid out about California, what we have, we see them here in higher education. So while more Black students are enrolling, outcomes have not caught up. And only about 1/3 of Black community college students complete or transfer within 6 years. You know, this means that 2/3 do not reach their goal. And so this really is an area of study and an area of work that we've done. But all week we've been talking about sort of the systematic things that we need to be doing as a system. And so that's why I'm deeply grateful to have been a part of the CEO Affordability, Food and Housing Access Task Force and the development. And thank you, Dr. Sarah Goldrick-Rab, who's here later today to talk to you all, but about Real College California and the coalition that we've created with support from her and from others in the field to really, for us, by us, build infrastructure and support for basic needs across this thing. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Keith Curry and Dr. Pam Lester, who helped begin this movement that we've been a part of since 2018, and all of the CEOs and trustees who sit on this work and the practitioners who built the Real College California network. And so what we believed is that the data is important for us to look at. And so what I'm going to be going over today is the 2025 Real College California Basic Needs report. And I want to give a shout out to the RP group, the Community College League, but particularly Dr. Brohan and Dr. Wynn, who have been incredible partners with me personally and with the task force over the last number of years, really making sure that we continue to ask our students and learn from them directly so we can make institutional changes. And so the 2025 report really highlights the national, these are from a national survey that's gone, but we've adapted it for California community college population. And this last year, in our next iteration, we've done this for 3 iterations. We've done things like add Spanish translation, done stuff to help make sure bots aren't, being in our things, and really adapted the questions to things that are really important for us here in this community. And our 2025 sample, in 2023, we had about 66,000 respondents from 88 colleges. And so we were really excited in our 2025 sample to get close to almost 77,000 students spent their time talking to us. And I want to thank the colleges, the 102 California community colleges who participated in the survey. It's so important to have these voices to be able to define and help drive where we're going as a system. And so you can see here that characteristics. So I just wanted to put up the difference between those who responded in 2023 to those who responded to 2025, because remember, these are slices and moments in time. We can't show correlation, but what we can show is characteristics of what's happening. And so I'm really grateful. And you can see we had an uptick in 2025 of our Black and African American identified students actually completing the surveys, up from 8% in 2023 to 11% now. And you can see there have been fluctuations and changes related to some of the ratios of students who've participated in other years as well. So really, this is the data, and it hasn't changed much from 2023, right? 2 out of every 3 students in 2025 reported experience at least one basic needs insecurity. Got to take a deep breath here, right? This is fundamental, and really such a challenge for us as we think about how do we continue to support the real needs of our students. And so I want to provide some definitions that sort of guide the way that the way the survey and the report goes is, so we look at food insecurity, which is limited or uncertain availability of nutritionally adequate and safe food, right? So those key indicators are really important. And then for housing insecurity, what we have is it varies over time, right? That a student may experience housing insecurity during one semester and food insecurity the next, and some students are housing insecure during the summer and homeless during the winter. So it's temporary in a lot of ways, but these definitions support the forms of basic needs insecurity used for the assessment. So you see housing insecurity there as a broad set of challenges where you have the inability to pay rent or utilities and have to move frequently. And the time frame for that is over the past 12 months when we do the survey. And then homeless means not having, right? Again, over a 12-month period, not having a stable place to live. And oftentimes you're identified as homeless when you've been identified where you're living in conditions that are not actually a home, really, right? Couch surfing, sleeping in your car, those particular things. So housing is an area of basic needs where we find that 46% of our students are food insecure. Honing into these areas of basic needs, what we see is nearly 1 in 2 survey respondents said they were food insecure. And then we have over 58% of our students are saying they're housing insecure. And that's 3 out of in every 5 survey respondents said this. And then 20% are experiencing homelessness. So that's 1 in 5. This is frankly not a small group of students. This is the student experience. And so comparing the rates of basic needs insecurity reported in 2023 relative to our last collection, we do see slight decreases as a 1 percentage point decrease in food insecurity and 4 percentage point decrease in homelessness, with the overall rate lower in the most recent report by 1 percentage point. So we see some of these things. So while these are aggregate statewide figures show little to no change, there are no notable changes at the colleges, right? College by college that may possibly reflect a different combination of factors as shifts in the community resources and supports that you all are doing meet those needs in different ways, or the surrounding communities as well. So when we hone into each of the basic needs indices for food insecurity, the top 3 most reported forms of insecurity were students who were experiences was 52% said they were worried whether their food would run out before they could buy more, right? Couldn't afford a balanced meal, 50%, nearly 50% of our students. And 35% of our students were, ate less because they were worried there wasn't going to be enough money for food. And I've had firsthand experience with students who told me very clearly, right, that they're like rationing their own food intake so that their younger siblings could eat or their family members. When we look at honing in on housing insecurity, you can see here the top 3 most reported things were borrowing money from family and friends to pay bills, couldn't pay your full amount of rent or mortgage, and couldn't pay the full amount of utilities. So again, this is sort of 58% of our students are reporting these particular things. And then related to homelessness, we see here that our students are experiencing homelessness, and the top 3 forms are that temporariness that I talked about earlier, right? Couch surfing, self-identified as experiencing homelessness, right? And those who are living in conditions or closed spaces that don't have a roof really aren't meant for human habitation. So really important is we're a large state, right? So geography does have some impact on what we're doing. And so you can see here, this is the way the report looks at our regions. So you can see again, region A being the far north, and all the way down to region E, which is our San Diego and Imperial County areas. And what you can see here on this slide, I won't spend a lot of time on these, but again, when you look at food insecurity rates by region, it changes, right? And so you can see where we have sort of changes in these numbers based on the different insecurity rates by region. And then here it is for housing. That you can see housing insecurity rates by region, and then our homelessness rates by regions. And so you can see, and we know from the disaggregated data that there are particular colleges where there have been changes from 2023 to 2025 based on those interventions that you've all done. And when we disaggregate the data, the pattern becomes even clearer. And you're going to see it here as I walk through this work of statewide basic needs by demographic group, that Black students and historically marginalized groups are more likely to experience these insecurities. And it's not a surprise to you all, certainly based on sort of the context that we laid out before about California and sort of what's happening. So this is really what inequity looks like in practice, folks. This is not theory. This is not in aspiration, in outcomes. It is the actual outcomes that we're seeing. And so you can see here for our statewide food insecurity rates. So again, that statewide bubble, so let me orient you to the slide. 46% of our students statewide are saying they're food insecure. And you could see that African-American or Black students are the highest rate group of students reporting food insecurity. When we look by gender identity, you can see the same things with gender identity, with those who are saying other are actually experiencing greater rates of food insecurity. And here by our queer status for students and food insecurity rates, you can see where our students are, with students who are identify as gay or lesbian, bisexual, or other sexual orientations are experiencing higher food insecurity rates than those that are identified as heterosexual. And then we also disaggregated by disability status. So you can see here, those with no disability are underneath our statewide line. And you can see again where the data puts our learning disabilities, physical disabilities, and other identified areas that we measured. And here again by life circumstance. So we took that, so you can see that our foster youth, our justice impacted students, those who are parenting single parent students, and those who are former veterans or military are experiencing greater rates of food insecurity as well in comparison to the statewide average. And so for housing insecurity rates, again, I'll put these things up. I won't go, but again, that marker of 58% of statewide are experiencing housing insecurity, but you look at our number for African American or Black identified students, nearly close to 80% are experiencing housing insecurity. And here again, wanted to just make sure, right? Because intersectional identities is such a large part of sort of what we grapple with as we build and serve our students, is you can see again where this falls for housing insecurity, for disaggregated by other indicators and identification for our students. And so we really do have significant impact that I was talking about before. So here again, by life circumstance. And then if we go into homelessness rates, you again see our African American or Black identified students being at the top of experiencing homelessness in comparison to the 20% that are homeless statewide, and indicated that. And so again, by gender identity, here by LGBTQ plus status, by disability, and by life circumstances. And seeing here again, our justice impacted students, which we know again, right, our state's stance on incarceration, our foster youth and single parents. So basic needs, these equity gaps are not accidental. They are produced. And so again, disparities that continue to happen for our African American Black students. Our queer students are more likely to record basic needs and insecurities than non-LGBTQ plus students. Again, those students who are aged 26 to 30 experience the highest rates of basic needs insecurities, while our students who are 18 to 20 experience the lowest rates of basic needs insecurities. And again, we have certain groups such as those students who are independent, Pell Grant recipients, and single parents report higher rates of insecurity. So there are other factors associated with basic needs insecurity that I just want to highlight really here, really carefully. And this is the fact that if you see the color markers down the right side of the screen, where students are reporting their academic performance. So students, again, it's correlated to this, right? Higher grade achievement, right, and academic success with lower rates of homelessness, housing insecurity, and food insecurity. And then what you also see here by employment status, again, you see those that are not working to those who are working for more than 30 hours a week. And you see again that that working has nothing to do with not, like, especially in the state where it's so expensive to live, there are students who are working for more than 30 hours a week and are still experiencing high levels of housing insecurity, homelessness, and food insecurity. And it's the conundrum of this that's really difficult for us as we go forward. And what you also looked at and we measured in the survey were those students who are leveraging public assistance usage. So you can see here the differences between 2023 and 2025. But again, we have a lack of students. Those students who are leveraging those things are still experiencing high levels of insecurity despite public assistance. And so one of the things we want to recommend, and I want to recommend to everybody, is that you examine your institutional data more deeply. Each college that participated, so the 102 colleges, have their disaggregated data for themselves to do analysis. And our plan is to do greater analysis in this next iteration of the report so that we can dive deeper. But examples here are, if you looked at this thing, again, here is an example of some colleges that had more than 30 Black students who responded to their survey. And you can see there on the second set of the second data there is that San Diego College of Continuing Ed right there, Moreno Valley College. So this is the percent of students who are leveraging WIC, and then the number of students who are, a number of Black students who are leveraging this versus those who answered the question, right? So as we look at our own institutional data, we can see patterns, which means that it's not abstract, right? It's happening at our colleges right now, and there's more work that can be done. And so really, we saw in the work that there's opportunities that we've called out in the report to really hone in on the disproportionately high rates of basic needs insecurities for students, particularly our African American Black students, other justice impacted Pell recipients, and that we should be working more with colleges and policymakers to scale design and culturally responsive supports that really meet the needs of students and really, frankly, Californians, right? And that we need to be continuing to learn from each other about best practices. We really want to enhance accessibility and awareness of campus supports. It's crazy. We've been doing this work for a while, right? Our campuses have basic needs centers, but students are still saying that they don't know about the services that are being offered on our campuses. And so really we need to, again, simplify applications and eligibility process, really make sure that it's not abstract to students or to the faculty and staff who are helping support our students in this work. And we need to, as a collective body, advocate for systematic and policy level changes to scale. We need to show campus level efforts are not enough, and they frankly are, given the way that we're funded. Don't let me get me started on all of the things, but really a lot of what we've been talking about, I will and continue to talk about, is that these things, employment alone is not a solution, right? That this is a deep, and we have to have policy priorities that include scaled investments in financial aid, strengthening the social safety net, and policies that really have a living wage and a cost of a living for students included in these things. And we want to just continue to do research to guide effective solutions. So when we step back, what we see is not disconnected issues. We see a system of structural inequity, basic needs insecurity, and disproportionate impact on Black students, producing one set of continuous outcomes, right? And these really aren't separate issues that we have. This is one system, and we are a part of that, frankly, y'all, that we are producing one set of outcomes, and we've got to grapple with that. And so, what this brings up is the central idea that basic need support is not an intervention. It is institutional infrastructure that we need to do, because really, if nearly half of students are food insecure, if more than half of our housing insecure, and if 1 in 5 experience hopelessness, frankly, this is not a student problem, y'all. This is a design problem. This is a fundamental issue for us. So the question before us really is simple. What are we willing to redesign? What are we willing to resource? And what are we no longer willing to accept as normal? And so I want to close. Really, I was thinking about this like a lot. I'm going to close with Nipsey Hussle. Many people quote his music, but what mattered most was, frankly, what he built. He didn't just talk about change, he invested in his community, and we can see examples of this in the infrastructure and work, right? We could see this with Amen, you could see this with Nandi, you could see it with the Queendom, you can see it with, just all the coalition and support that's happening. But really what he built is he invested in the community. He created jobs. He built businesses, right? He developed real estate. He created infrastructure. He understood that systems don't work for people, that we have to build something different. And so I just want to say, in Victory Back Here, remind us, it's not a marathon, it's a sprint. And so this work is not about a program. It's a long-term commitment to building institutions that actually sustain our students, because our students are already doing everything they can to persist. So I really just want to say thank you. Are we ready to meet them where they are? And looking forward to the next part of the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Gilkerson. Did I tell y'all she is that girl? That was amazing. You quoted Nipsey right now. Like you're amazing. Okay, we love you. Oh, Carl, I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words.
How do you punctuate something great with something greater? I mean, she hit you with Nipsey. And what I love about Dr. Gilkerson is that she, from the time I have been involved in higher education, was just a little over 3 years, I've observed her just being a consistent, effective ally across the board. She walks the walk and she talks the talk and she does it with authenticity. So I'm grateful to have been able to sit through that presentation with all of you, but more grateful to have somebody like that in the struggle at the level doing the work for our people. So thank you very much for that, Dr. Gilkerson. It's an honor to have heard from you today. We're going to move into the next part of our program. I think we have our poll results. If we can put those up. Which basic need most significantly impacts student success at your institution? And it is a close one, but financial insecurity is just beating out housing instability, which are closely related. So thank you for your feedback on that poll. It's my pleasure now to get ready to pass the baton to the OGs. And Dr. Huffman, I was thinking about the OGs, and I started thinking about potatoes and gravy, and I think in metaphors. And so, I think that we are very, very lucky. I feel very, very fortunate to have OGs whose immense capability, that's the potatoes, is only outdone by their unmatchable care. That's the gravy. They are experts in their craft. They can get in there with the tools and fix any problem. But AI can do that. This brother and this sister, these doctors at this level in these institutions, they do it with so much care, and their care is contagious. So I just want to thank you for the work that you do for our state, for our community, all communities, but especially for what you do for our Black students. With that, it is my pleasure to pass it along to the illustrious doctors, Dr. Helen Young and Dr. Herb English. Take it away, OGs.
Oh, thank you, Carl. Man, what an introduction, Dr. Herb. I don't know if I can. Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love, much love. Good afternoon, my brother.
Yeah, good afternoon. I've never, ever, ever been compared to to gravy.
Potato?
Potatoes and gravy. That's a new one for me. I've been called a lot of things, but not potatoes and gravy. But yes, Dr. Young, Dr. Gilkerson presentation was outstanding. It really puts a spotlight on what our students are going through just to get to our campuses, not even talking about what they do after they leave our campuses. And it really shows that our campuses are really the safe space and the filling station for a lot of our students. But thank you so much, Dr. Gilkerson. Powerful presentation. I know the work that you're doing in the Bay Area to support the campuses that you lead, or the district that you lead, rather. I know that you all have a spotlight on making sure that our students are whole. So, man, thank you so much. And we got someone coming up that during COVID, Dr. Young, and really before COVID, she really put a spotlight with Dr. Curry in a lot of areas about basic needs.
Absolutely.
And really focused not only on community colleges, but really focused on what our higher education institutions are doing to support their students' basic needs. So I will pass it back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely, can't echo enough Dr. Gilkerson's work, and this next presenter is, I have mad respect, really have been a fan of hers from afar, probably since the pandemic. Dr. Sarah Gorig-Rab is here with us today. Let me give her a little shout out. We got to give you some context of this amazing woman's work in the community. She is a sociologist and lifelong poverty fighter, wow, whose career spans anti-death penalty advocacy, groundbreaking research on college affordability and student basic needs, university teaching, and nonprofit leadership. As a scholar and an author, she transformed national conversations about higher education equity, championed community college funding, and support for students facing hunger, housing instability, and financial hardship. She now applies that same commitment to youth development and anti-violence work as a leader of the Azim Dukes Initiative. Please help me welcome Dr. Sarah Gorig-Rab. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And I just want to echo what I'm seeing in the conversation in the chat, that this is very upsetting data. I was asked by Dr. Curry to offer a few reflections. For those that don't know, the Real College Survey was originally developed out of work that occurred in Wisconsin starting all the way back in 2008. It was led by a team that I had the privilege of working with. And just as a little bit of historical context, and to underline that quote from Nipsey, that certainly is a marathon. Because the first time that we shared data that look remarkably like these for California community college students, the year was not 2026, the year was 2016. I was just sitting looking back at that report, which was for the Los Angeles Community College District, which was the first district in the state of California to participate in surveying their students. And the results look remarkably similar to what they are today. So the first thing you all need to know is that we have known this for more than 10 years. And the fact is that students and families have known that these issues were issues for much longer. What we're doing in higher education is catching up and trying to change the narrative and trying to get real about the challenges. And if we're going to do that, we have to acknowledge that there are still many, many people out there who say quite proudly that community college is affordable. I think we have
Did we lose her, Dr. English?
I
Yes, I
argue.
believe.
Here she is. We got her
Oh,
back.
okay. There, you're back. You're back. You're back.
Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Okay. So I was just saying, if we are to say out loud that college is affordable, how can we really say that if the vast majority of our Black students and many, many other students on our campuses are not able to afford the basics? We have to ask ourselves, are we intentionally taking out of the calculation of student success the idea that financial barriers are very important? Or in other words, are we dismissing the lessons of those like the Wu-Tang? I can do it too, Dr. Gilkerson, who say, cream, cash rules everything around me. This is a truth. It has been a truth, and students are humans first, and they know this fact. So now the question is, how are we going to recreate our systems of higher education to start with this fact and not assume that learning will happen even though students don't have their basics? Now, even though I just said things have not changed in 10 years, what I want you to know is things would be worse right now if it weren't for the work that our campuses are doing and that the staff on the front line in particular are doing. We have been through a lot in the last 10 years, and in many ways, the economics of higher education are worse. Things are less affordable, and they were even before this latest round of inflation. Work simply doesn't pay like it used to, and we know that. And so I have to say a huge shout out to the staff, including those who are here today, who have taken on the title and the mantle of basic needs work. At the same time, we also have to recognize that they are only able to address our students' needs if their needs, both for services and working conditions, are met. So I want to openly acknowledge that the majority of people doing basic needs work in our state are also people of color. And this is your state, but it is our state too here in Pennsylvania, let me just say. So if we are to put on the shoulders of Black and Brown families and their loved ones to become the staff to address these problems, which they did not create, these structural problems, then we ought to do everything we can to ensure that they have the resources and capacity at their disposal so they are not asked to solve trauma, which again is well beyond them. That includes doing things like clarifying our expectations. We cannot ask staff to step in to solve poverty for everyone. What we can do is ask them to do what they can to connect students to resources. And that was one of the key recommendations that I want to note that Dr. Gilkison rightly elevated. It is unacceptable that resources are available on campuses and students are unaware of them. We have to do more to do targeted outreach because we know that it works, and we have to create a culture in which it is acceptable to seek and receive help. And we know that's a barrier for too many students. The last thing is that we absolutely must move beyond emergency work. It is not okay to take a student dealing with the trauma of not having enough to eat and tell them that all we can do for them is hand them a can of food from a pantry. Food pantries are meant to be symbolic gestures that we care about an issue. They are not meant to be the solution, nor have they ever solved food insecurity nationwide. What solves food insecurity is putting money in people's pockets. And that's what we need to do more of. We need to lower prices so that they can afford to be able to have the money that they need so they can make their choices. The people who know best how to spend their money are the students themselves. And so I urge us to do more that is systemic and less that is about band-aids, to not try to turn our vice presidents of student affairs and our basic needs coordinators into grocery stockers trying to just monitor cans of beans, and instead enlist their help in actually connecting and working with students to address the root causes of these challenges. We increasingly know what works. There is an enormous body of research out there. There is training available for staff and faculty. And I think later on you'll receive some resources that I have provided, including a giant library of free resources that lay out all the sorts of things that we know and can do together if only we have the will. Thank you so much for your hard work, and it's good to be with all of you today in this conversation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Sarah. Wow, powerful, powerful. Dr. Herb, I made a list of what Dr. Sarah just gave. She talked about supporting those individuals on our campus who do the work. They cannot be seen as the end all be all. I clearly heard we have to increase wages and what people take home so that they can afford what's there. But we also need to look at the inflation of what things are costing. We need to call that out. We need to call it out and open. Thank you, Dr. Sarah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Passing it
Yes,
on to you, Dr. Herb.
yes, thank you again. And I think we have to recognize these districts that are already doing great work. I have to call out San Diego Community College District, already paying student assistants a competitive wage. Students are not making minimum wage in San Diego Community College District. Also have to call out the schools that have basic needs centers before and after the funding that are making sure that their students have groceries and basic needs that they need. And also, if you have housing on your campuses, please put it in the chat. If you have basic
Yes.
needs centers, put it in the chat. Definitely got to call out. I work with this gentleman at Ohlone College, Chris De La Rosa, who was the VP of Business Service and Technological Services. He made sure that if we had emerging needs on the campus, he would find the budget. So like we've been saying on Monday and Tuesday, your budget matches your priorities. A
Right.
lot of times we get canned responses of why we can't do something. Chris De La Rosa, who is now at Foothill De Anza, he made sure our budget matched our priorities. He created multicultural centers for Ohlone. He created a basic needs center at Ohlone College. He made sure that our budget matched our priorities. Man, thank
Too
you, thank you,
much, too
thank you,
much,
Dr.
too
Young.
much.
So we have another poll.
Yes.
Please, we have another poll. What is one action your institution must prioritize to better support students' basic needs? What one action can our institutions do to prioritize our students' basic needs? And with that, we'll have those results a little later. Now we are going to introduce our panel. We have Karen R. Collins, the director of the Center for African Diaspora and Student Success at UC Davis. We have Dr. Leah Fleming, Dean of Students at Coastline College. We have Sherilyn Massillon, the Director of Basic Needs at Santa Monica College. And we have Lydell Willis, Director of Student Basic Needs and Success at Compton College. Please bring our panel up. I have the first question, Dr. Young. And I will come to you, Dr. Leah Fleming, my homegirl, Dr. Leah Fleming. What does it mean to treat basic needs support as institutional infrastructure rather than a student service?
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to be here today. I had to look at the word infrastructure in the definition because I feel like oftentimes we don't go to the source, right? So when I look at infrastructure in the definition, it says, right, resources that are required as basic framework and permanent installations. So when we talk about basic needs as an infrastructure, we talk about required resources as personnel. We can't continue to do part-time folks. We can't continue to do that. We need to have personnel. We need to have basic needs managers. We need to have directors. We need to have our federal work study students, right? When we talk about foundations and interconnections, right? Basic needs cannot be a standalone. Your food pantry is not enough. It needs to be interwoven with your financial aid offices, your EOPS programs, right? Your Title IX. I know we don't like to talk about that, but our Title IX offices, right? And when we talk about permanent, right? And infrastructure means that it's permanent. Right. So when this funding goes away, our college is still committed to having these basic needs centers, having resources, providing funding. So really looking at all of what we've talked about already, right? Funding for our students who are federal work study students, funding to ensure that this is continue to happen. So when I think about, the infrastructure, we have to think of long-term, permanent, beyond right now, and really go to our leadership, go to our administration, go to advocacy at the state level, right? Because it is a systemic issue beyond just here at our California community colleges.
Dr. Fleming, you right on point. Karen, being at a UC, I'll throw the same question out to you.
Yeah, I think one of the major things is kind of the perspective that we have about basic needs, right? Is that it's not to be reactionary. Like, we have to think about it as part of the holistic need of the student, right? So it's not a precursor or a precondition. We have to look at it as if, just like our students are coming in, as we're looking at, okay, what are the skill sets do you have? Where are the gaps in learning? Where are the gaps in, like, where are the things that you need to be able to thrive as a student? Because we usually look at it on the back end, right? After something is, an issue has been targeted, right? So we really need to reframe the way that we think about how all of this happens. I know at our campus, I think we really do really well with basic needs. But the other thing I will say about that, the pantry is not the answer. The practitioners who are in these spaces are not the catch-all be-all. But I think we need to think about, like, even when students, I think one thing we do really well is basic needs, but also we got to think about when students aren't enrolled in school, right? If you're not enrolled, right, at that particular moment, right? Say you're not taking summer classes. Say you might have taken off for this particular quarter or semester. We need to really think about that, because those students are going to be coming back, and we have to figure out, how do we sustain them even before they come back?
Dr. Young, I'm gonna throw it to you because I want to make sure we get Lydell and Sherilyn in on this discussion. I'll give you the next question.
Thank you. Next question. Lydell, we're going to throw this one to you first. What are the biggest challenges institutions face in scaling basic needs support? And what needs to shift to overcome them?
Thank you. It's capacity and budget. We are growing in enrollment at Compton College, which is great, but that also means we have to increase what we provide and how many students we provide to. So we have to look at our budget. We have to look at what's going on with our school, and we have to look at what's going on with our students. Here at Compton College, we noticed that in 24, 25, 23, 22, our students that received food on campus, they met and exceeded our institutional set goals for completion. So we say, hey, we're going to take some of that funding and put it more towards our food access for students. So colleges are really going to have to look at their data and say, what's going on? What are we investing in? You're going to have to work with your CBO partners, find out what they can do for you. We work with Every Table here on campus. We give them a lot of funds to feed our students. Therefore, we're going to require something back from y'all. So, for instance, on Fridays, they donate food to our students who need a little extra for that weekend, as Dr. Collins was talking about. What do they do when they're not with us?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to really analyze your budgets. You're going to have to work with your partners and plan on increased capacity, because our students aren't going to stop. We want to keep students enrolled, and overall, we want to get them to their career and educational goals.
I love it. Tell us what's happening at Santa Monica College, Sherlyn.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we are doing so many incredible things here at SMC. And it really started just before COVID happened. I was at the time I was just a part-time employee, and I was supporting our committee, our basic needs committee, in creating a plan to open up our food pantry. And then COVID happened, pantry doesn't open. We pivot and we decide to do a drive-through for our students. You know, we got a social distance, people can't be near each other, so we had the drive-through happen. Then it became, okay, we're allowing people on campus, but we're social distancing. We opened up our pantry. We were open 1 day a week, and we were seeing over 200 students lining up to come to our food pantry.
Wow.
And they're waiting there for hours to get anything. Eventually, I was able to grow in our staffing. I was able to grow in not only just for our pantry support, but also, like someone else mentioned on the panel, and I think has been mentioned many times throughout this, we were not just looking at the food piece, we looked at the human part. We wanted to have case managers for our students. We wanted to provide an opportunity for our students to sit down and talk to someone and tell them what's going on. And I think that case management aspect is really important when you're looking to provide supports, basic needs supports to your students. The goal of basic needs at SMC, and I say this all the time, is we want to be that middle person for our students. We want to help in game planning with them. What is keeping you from coming to school? What is keeping you from staying in school? And then how can we work together to find those resources to fill those gaps? I don't care about the academics. I know that might be a hot take. I don't care about the academics. I want to know what's going on in your life and what can we provide to you so you can get to your academics. As again, I think it was you actually, Dr. Helen, you mentioned that it's not about a student's ability to go to school to learn. It's not that they can't learn. It's they want to. It's just life is happening to them.
Life is lifing.
Yes, it's preventing them from coming to school. So I think a lot of my focus for our team and for basic needs on our campus has been around that. Like, what is keeping our students from school and how can we support them in getting here? Because the rest will work out on its own. Once they have all they need, persistence will be up, enrollment will be up. Like, people will go to school when their needs are being met. They want to learn, they want to do better for themselves. And so we should be working as community colleges, as higher education people in general, we should be focusing on that piece, what's happening outside of school, so that we can get you in school. And I think that's a lot of the work that we're doing. We've even provided emergency relief funds for our students as well for the past couple of years, which has been really amazing. I would say we had some data actually recently on those students that we provided funding to. They've persisted, they've enrolled in more classes, they've been predominantly Black and Hispanic students, Black and Latinx students. But we're seeing that even providing them the financial assistance that they're looking for is supporting them. It is helping them.
Absolutely.
They are finishing their classes. They are transferring. They're doing what they need to do to better themselves when we provide that piece for them as well.
Wow. Thank you. You know, this is not rocket science. This is not new information. When you think about K-12 and we think about our babies, right, in preschool and kindergarten, I think about my own granddaughter who's a kindergartner. We know that they can't perform without those other basic needs. So this shouldn't be new information when we think about higher ed. The same pieces apply. It doesn't change, right, Dr. English? What's your thoughts on that as we talk to these amazing group of folks?
Well, you said it. We know what works. And for some reason, we invest in other things. I I could tell you about some things we've invested in on my campus and in previous campuses. But until we got the funding for things like basic needs centers and making sure students had non-perishable items, it was because of funding that was designated to each institution. Some worked with their student government, et cetera, but we know what works. You can't
Absolutely.
focus, you can't be energetic if you're hungry. You can't do all those things if you haven't had a safe place to sleep the night before.
Absolutely.
No matter what we say, sleeping in your car will protect you from the rain, but you're not really getting a good night's sleep
No,
in
no.
your car. And our students are doing all of these things. I wish we could stay with y'all at least 10 more minutes, but this is flying by. I truly thank you.
Thank you.
Our next panel is coming up, and I'm gonna throw it back to Dr. Young.
Thank you so much for your thoughts. We really do appreciate you, and we hope that this information that you've shared has landed on great ears with our audience today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to shift to our next panel. This is our CEO perspective on basic needs. Dr. Luis Dorado is here from LA Harbor College out of my old district, and Dr. Torrance Powell, Superintendent and President of Napa Valley College. Please join us.
Thank you. Afternoon.
Well, Dr. Powell, we'll just come to you first. We got a short time with you, and congratulations on your new position that you're going to take over in July. But just from a CEO perspective, a senior leader perspective, what's your take on basic needs?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Dr. English. Just a couple of quick thoughts. I think the most important piece for me to share is perspective as someone who is actually administering and running one of the 14 student housing projects in the state, right? And we've talked a lot about housing. We've talked a lot about housing and security and stability. Administering a student housing project on a California community college, I just want to say that for anyone who does have a background in student housing, which I did, but it was at the university level, it's a very different, incredibly different experience, right? For all the reasons that we know in terms of who our students are and our demographics. And so I just want to offer maybe, 3 points or points of advice or lessons learned, as it were, several years into administering and running a student housing project. And the first one is one important lesson. It's to do your homework on the front end to understand who your students are. And as I mentioned before, student housing in the community college system is different because the needs are very different. We have 3 buildings in our student housing project. We have a traditional residence hall and 2 apartment style housing for family housing. Now, our building 1, which is our single family housing, it's the most popular by far, right? And we actually have a lot of occupancy in the residence hall because the students that traditionally would occupy a residence hall, a lot of those students are opting to stay, at home with their parents, their family, wherever. And so I think building a student housing that is very much keyed into not just who your students are, but who you want them to be is really important lesson learned. So do your homework on the front end. The other piece, and this is something that Dr. Rob brought up, and I was so appreciative to hear this. We really want to work in collaboration with other public agencies, right? And that's something that I experienced in reaching out initially to some of the public agencies within Napa. Just within their own mind frame, we were thinking, in terms of competition rather than collaboration, right? Well, the truth is that when we really work in collaboration with a lot of these public agencies, and we find ways to bridge the differences across our agencies, and then treat students as people, right? And not just as clients, not just as students, but they're people with needs, right? It's our silos that are artificially creating some of these constraints where we put people in these boxes when they just need support and services. So we got to break out of this mind frame of, well, that's a student issue and we don't do that. Okay, well, who does within your service area? Go find that partner, right? And work with them to help meet some of those other needs. And the last piece that I'll offer is that our units are pretty affordable. The cheapest unit that we have is under $500 a month for everything, right? Like that pays for all of their utilities, that pays for everything, right? That would be sharing a room with the roommate, but it's a pretty affordable option, right? It's still not affordable enough, there are still students that are struggling to meet, even that really basic cost, right? And when we think about students, again, we got to think about that holistic approach. We're able to provide 4 to 6 hot meals a week for students at no cost, plus grab and go snacks. It's not enough just to put someone in a residential unit and say, we fixed it. No, this person still has other needs, right? And it goes back to that other point where you don't have the capacity as an institution to really meet some of those needs. Then the impetus is on us, if you're going to build a student housing project, to help build those partnerships that are really going to create that lasting success for those students and meet their holistic needs, as we've been talking about, all the panelists have talked about today. And I guess the last thing I'll just say, since we're throwing out our favorite rap lyrics, we had a Wu-Tang reference, a Nipsey reference.
Right.
I'm going to go way back, and I'm going to say it takes a nation of millions to hold us back, right? That's Public Enemy for those
Public
that don't know.
Enemy, come on now.
Right? And it does, right? I think the collective power that we have, I see where is Tupac. I could have threw a Tupac in there, but I'm going to keep it. Yeah. I'll say that for the next one. The power that we have collectively is impressive, right? When we work together, when we bridge gaps and we find ways to use our collective spirit and energy, then there's nothing that we can't accomplish. So with that, I want to say thank you, and want to give my esteemed colleague, Dr. Dorado, some time to speak as well. So thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Dorado, you're out there in LA where you serve everything. And we're over time, Dr. Dorado, but you're here for a reason. In 2 minutes, my brother, can you just talk about basic needs from your perspective?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna be really quick, but I also want to give a shout out in regards to the evolution of the revolution. You guys have put in a lot of work, and I want to say congratulations. This is only expanding, and keep it up. And so in regards to basic needs, see, my role as the CEO of LA Harbor College is to continue to push the narrative, continue to push the envelope. And I don't see it as a basic need. I see it as an essential need. It's an essential need because it's essential to our students 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's essential that they eat. It's essential that they have housing. My role is to provide that when they're here at Harbor College, and to be able to continue to fight the good fight. And when we fight, we win, right? And when we stick together, we are stronger. So I just want to give you guys all a huge shout out, and I'll keep it at that because I know that you guys have a lot of other wonderful things, but congratulations. And just know that, again, it's an essential. Also, locations of where you have your essential pantries. You can't have it somewhere hidden and pretend you have something going on. You have to have it out in the open, or put it where your students are at. You don't need to only have one. You could have satellite ones at Harbor College. We have our campus marketplace, which is our main one. Then we have satellite ones. One we have in athletics. The other one we have in our student union, because that's where our students are at. And so we take it to them. So we're about to get a mobile one, so that when we see something happening, we just take that mobile pantry so that our students could get healthy choices. The other thing is that you have to have healthy choices for our students. It can't just be all the processed food items. You have to have some fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and of course, protein. So I'll leave it at that because I know that we're going over time, but I really want to say thank you for inviting me to the panel.
Absolutely.
Dr. Dorado, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you, Dr. Powell. Oh man, today, day 4, y'all kept the fire going. Bring that poll up for us. We still got people here. Bring that poll up for us. Check that out. Check that out.
Integrated basic needs institution is the top response.
Yep. A third of our folks said integrate basic needs into our institutional strategy.
Yes.
Man, Dr. Young, it's been a heck of a day. Just want to go to promote the after party right after this. Please rush over there on our socials. We are CA Black Students. We have those student hours this evening. We have our sneaker ball. We want to make sure that you all are aware of our Vision Resource Center. It's going to be launching soon, a space for us to continue this work. Everything that we provided this week, articles, different links, will be at our Vision Resource Center. Don't forget about our HBCU transfer. We have a CCC HBCU transfer agreement. Dr. Young and Dr. Azu have been leading this work, and they have over 500 students that have transferred to the HBCUs from the community college. And we have an HBCU transfer grant that can eliminate those financial barriers for our students. But our students must apply for financial aid to be eligible for these funds. So please, they need to go to CSAC and make sure that they get that information. And then Amend is hosting the All African Diaspora Education Summit this September in Cape Coast and Accra, Ghana. It is filling up. We are going to have 400 space for 400 registrants. We are at 320 right now, 320. We have about 80 spots left. If you're thinking about going, please, please, please register. And day 5, Friday, TGIF, we're going to have Data is Power, reclaiming the story of Black student success. The closing session will focus on statewide student success outcomes for Black students. Participants will engage with current data on access, completion, transfer, and outcomes to assess both progress and the gaps that persist. The conversation will The conversation is going to explore how institutions can use transparent, disaggregated data to improve, to drive improvement, inform policy, and advocate for sustained investment to continue driving outcomes for students and graduates. And finally, the session will advocate for documenting Black student success to ensure its continued growth and visibility, thereby rewriting and reclaiming the narrative. Thank y'all so much for hanging in with us. I got to give a shout out to those 93 that stayed with us till 1:08. Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I'm thankful for the red rocks through our segment. I'm thankful for the red rocks grounding my spirit. I'm thankful for the red rocks through our segment. I'm thankful for the red rocks grounding my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Thank you, Raseki, kinetic Reiki. Thank you, Raseki, toward my healing. I'm thankful for the healing journey I'm on. Every day is a new stride toward my goals. From my root to my crown, for me to be healthy, happy, and whole. But I'm just a work in progress, though, and giving thanks to the ancestors. Breathing in and breathing out, eating right and exercising too. A blessing I give myself by loving myself. Having confidence, learning the truth and asking for forgiveness. Meditation and prayer, praying and meditating. Seeking the answer for my purpose through trial and error. But when listening to the spirits, they give me the source. Following the path that has been chosen, there's no need to question. Nature is our existence. Earth, water,